All right, so first and foremost, when you get them, this is basically what they're going to look like. You will have flanges that I'm not showing you right now, bolts and nuts, and a little flange that goes up here to actually secure it to the fender. But here's the actual cutout. Now, they're pretty stout. I mean, they are a little flimsy in some areas. I mean, it is only like 2.3 millimeters thick. So, first thing I recommend doing is, I already did to this one, I just took some 60, 80 grit, whatever, and just scuffed the heck out of the back. It'll do it really quick. And we're gonna do it to this one too. And then I cut some pre-cut just fiberglass pieces. This is just some 6-ounce. And then afterwards, make sure you get a respirator, paintbrush, mixing cup, some gloves, and some polyester resin. And we're just gonna lather that on the back here. And we're gonna lay some fiberglass. I only do about 2 layers, and that seems to stiffen it up. Obviously, the parts you want to stiffen up more, probably this flange up here, back here, because you're gonna be drilling through this. And then this is gonna be pretty stout anyways, but once you get this on here, it'll be real stout enough that we can just body work this. But like if you see if I push, it has some flex. You could probably run this in the car the way it is if you just drill it nice and carefully and everything else, but the fiberglass really just kind of sends it home. All right, so the other one you can see is scuffed up. I just used some 80 grit by hand, just went all around it. So now, I'm gonna mix up some polyester resin. We're gonna do about 6 ounces, which is gonna be more than we need, but I'd rather mix more than we need and not have too little. And after this, my voice is gonna probably be a little harder to hear because I'm gonna put the respirator on. I'm just using some generic Bondo polyester resin. You don't need to buy this giant of one, but I end up doing this a lot, so I end up having a bigger one. And then for every ounce with their hardener, it just calls for 10 drops. So technically 60 drops. All right, there's my 60 drops with the respirator on. I'm gonna mix this and then we're gonna lather it on with the paintbrush. So this is what it looks like now with the fiberglass. We already kind of cut the excess off on the outsides, right? There's some air pockets in there, but we'll survive. The gist is still there, and now all we need to do is just sort of take like a flap disc, anything you want, sandpaper, whatever, and just literally use this as a guide and just sort of sand around the edges and just make it so all we see is the ABS plastic. Easy. So normally that's where your fender liner would attach. We're just kind of opening it up a little bit to accept the rib nut. And you could use the typical plastic tabs, little push guys. We're just gonna put a bolt in it. And this is not the best rib nut tool to fit in there, as it does not fit in this area. I would do the 2 bottom holes first. So essentially, line this up, get it exactly where you think you'd want it with the door, right? The door gap. Now granted, this back piece, this flange up here, is gonna technically be a little bit like that behind your door. This car has a fender brace on it, which we're probably gonna run into. So something's gonna be a little bit different, but not much. So we're gonna end up probably having to add some washers down here to kind of cock it a little bit, like that, to keep that behind there, because again, the fender's gonna lay on top of this. But we can always do it in a minute. So just sort of get the gap where you think, probably, so you can see this right here is that body line, which is down here, or maybe that's up here. There you go. And then just sort of mark where the holes would go down there. And we'll drill those and we'll go from here. After you fiberglass it, the flange is gonna be way stronger, but I still would put your fingers behind it like that just to kind of give it some support. Once the holes are there, we can just, those are undersized, right? So we can kind of just do a quick test fit if they're kind of there or not. 2 bolts are in, so this, it's still a little loose, so we can kind of rock it around a little bit. So arguably this is kind of where it needs to be. And now, because we put a rib nut in it, you rack around the side here if you want to try to mark it. I don't know if we Or yeah, I guess you could look on the inside, mark where that is, but before you mark it, let me...
Where's that?
I'd say about there, right? That's fitting the body lines pretty good.
Yeah, I'd say pretty damn close right there. Cool.
Mark it.
Yep.
Marked?
Yep.
All right, so here it is. This is tight. This one's a little loose. It's tight enough that the washer doesn't move, but body door gap, body to this gap looks pretty good. This is flush. You may need to put a washer. We may need to too, maybe like one or two behind here, one behind that. Just something to just sort of shim and stuff. Ours is mainly because it's rib nut up in here. But other than that, this is going to sit a little bit behind the door because the fender's going to sit on top. So if we lay the fender roughly on top, right, you can see the molding is mimicked. So here's the molding. So just to be on a safe spot, when you first trim it, I would definitely trim this more than once. Your first safe bet, I would say, is just find that line of this. Probably not the best drawing right there. Just find that and just trim that off and just go straight across. And then you'll be able to lay the fender on it. Actually, take the fender off real quick too. So we have to cut there. And then don't forget we have this flange on the inside that we're gonna have to chop off. Is that too much? Maybe not. Just chop up to that. Because essentially this is gonna stop it from laying flat on this little flange here. So once this is chopped off, we'll be easy peasy. All right, so our mark, just cut off with a cutoff wheel and just cut this. It should be not enough basically, which is fine. We're gonna flap just that to where it needs. So let's lay the fender on top. All right, so, I mean, and he could leave it here if he wanted to. I don't personally like this, because like this kind of matches the body line, that matches the molding that was there. If you were to look, we'll bolt it up, right? We need to adjust it before we actually Sharpie it, but if you look behind, if you can actually see it, there's a hole, like here's the flange, and here's the actual fender. So we'll take a Sharpie here in a second and just trace that, and then we'll just flap disc to it. All right, so you can see there's not a lot of Sharpie there, but if anything, when you go to sand it, just focus on going in the whole path anyways. There's enough flange there, and if you don't go the whole path, you just focus just on this is not gonna look straight. It's gonna be all cattywampus. And then don't forget to sand this little like lip there just to make it flat, just because. Slide little flanges. These will probably printed out of PET G. This one for this prototype is ABS. You can kind of orient these however you want. They're universal back to back, but kind of just line the bottom up flush with your fender cut. The radiuses, the intention was for the radius to go towards the top. And then literally just paint pen it. Yep. Yep, pull it off. And there's a gap between them, and that is where a sticker will go, but we will not be putting a sticker on today because we're not done painting these, but I'd say just pull the fender back a little bit.
Pull it back?
Yep, that way you can just go through that first. That way you don't put all this on, because there's nothing really supporting the back of that fender brace.
Yeah.
So you are gonna get supplied M5 bolts, washers, and nuts. So just go undersized of that. So we're gonna drill through the fender right now, just gently, kind of holding, supporting the back of the brace and drilling through it. It's just plastic, so we'll go through it pretty easy in the plastic and the ABS. And then we were gonna step it up to I think it's a 7/32 bit we're using. I think you could probably go to a quarter if you wanted to too. It'd be a little bigger than it needs to be, but got a little violent once it went through it.
Yeah.
So just go through them again now with a 7/32. Same thing, go through just the fender. Once that hole's there, then kind of go through both together. Try not to drill through both at the same exact time. Cool. There it is. And then these bolts will go through here. So it's there, and again, this one's a prototype. We have a little bit of some layer shift there. We'll get that addressed on the products you'll receive will not have that. And then put a supplied washer and nut on the back side. Yeah, this front one's gonna be the most pain in the ass. Just kind of get the washer on it. And then you're gonna fumble this bastard. So this all pretty easy, just open the door a little bit. You have access to the nut. Just kind of tighten her up. And again, I can't say it enough. As you are putting this together, keep repeatedly making sure the door opens and closes and adjust as needed. So So again, if it's not level, it's not fitting perfectly, you might need like some washers down here. Make sure you drill this hole appropriately. You might need to slot it a little bit. There might be some small little things that are needed, but other than that, we should be able to put the side skirt on now. Good?
That's it.
And there it is with an OEM side skirt. There is a gap there. We didn't want to fill that because it is what it is. Maybe some PCI side skirts, there's too many variables involved, but other than that, the idea is there.